Hello, welcome to the 27th day of July 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a video exercise that I do every morning at around 5:30 a.m. to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone, which you can read for free at goingalone.org. I also use this time to think about yesterday and how I did with any interesting challenges or opportunities that I met, particularly the type that I didn't handle very well, or that I handled exceptionally well, because I want to know on the frontiers of my capabilities, where I'm either lagging or doing really well, so that I can improve this one, tune that, and do more of that. But before I start though, let me take a quick look. I promised day after day that I would begin noting the temperature and humidity at the start of these videos, and then we can note it again when I finish to see how the day progresses in a half hour or so, 45 minutes or whatever it is that I do this time. So you can see now the temperature appears to be 20, just edging on to 24 degrees Celsius, and I'd say 85% humidity. 24C is in the green zone for temperature, really nice. 85C is pretty darn humid. 24, so let's say 24 degrees and 85%. And we'll try to I'll try to remember to note that at the end again. A quick hello to my new subscribers on YouTube. It's good to have you here. In a bit of an introduction, I'm Kurt. I'm a 61-year-old American, retired, living here in Shizuoka City, Japan with my Japanese wife in this house that we bought 6 months ago. And well, yeah, it's been 6 months because it took us a month to buy it. And we have a grown daughter living up in the Tokyo area as well. So I want to add a couple quick notes here. I'll be doing this repeatedly because there's been some changes on the channel. First of all, I'm getting a lot of new subscribers, so a lot of new faces showing up, so it helps to introduce myself. And my friends on this channel, in this video, I think you'll bear with me if I indulge in a little self-introduction and maybe even what might sound like a little promotion. So I do videos about my I live in Japan, and in the past I made videos when I lived here before, more than a decade ago. I made videos about adventuring in Japan. And coming back to Japan, I make very few of those. I don't adventure very much. I'm older now. I have a lot of free time, but I tend to spend my time in a more settled manner. Maybe not too surprising given my age, right? And it, I think wasn't it Warren Buffett who once said, whatever it is that you want to do when you're young, do it when you're young, because you might not want to do it anymore when you get old. He was spot on about that. He was talking particularly about reeling in a 200-pound bluefin tuna. He said, when he was younger, man, he would love to have done that, but no more. Maybe that wasn't Buffett. Maybe that was his partner Charlie who said that. Anyway, I make reliably 3 videos a day. The first is this one, which is a live broadcast of my effort to orient my life around my my creed. The second is a video called Retiring in Japan, which is a series that I do every day, capturing snippets from throughout the day as my wife and I endeavor to live our best life retired here in Japan, thus the name. And the third is I list an antique item in my YouTube store. I'm also beginning to do a fourth video every day, or no, not a video, it's not a video that I do here. I make a snippet to add, as I add inventory items to my eBay store, and I make a little video clip it, but that doesn't go to YouTube, that just goes straight to eBay. So that's me. A couple of interesting changes have happened on my channel lately. This week I introduced, for both Patreon and YouTube, discount tiers for my store. I've been struggling with purpose and meaning and what the hell to do with myself in retirement, and I've found that I've stepped back into the workaday world by reopening my old antique store. It's been going very well, and it's just what the doctor ordered. This isn't so much a matter of me. If work was cigarettes, this isn't so much of me moving beyond cigarettes. as finding a placebo substitute that it looks and feels like cigarettes, but it isn't cigarettes. It's cigarettes without the nicotine and the tar, you know, because doing the work that I'm doing now with my eBay store is all the benefits of work with none of the stress. And this is going to factor into as I get further along today, because I'll be talking about my observations of stress yesterday. So to that end, now that I have the store to keep me busy, occupied, and fulfilled in retirement, I've introduced a discount program, and it's targeted after my Patreon patrons and my YouTube members. So if you're already a YouTube member, check out the membership benefits breakdown. Excuse me. And you can see what your discount tier is, and that your discount percentage is, and you'll have a coupon code that you can use, and that's good forever. It's not going to expire. So, and each tier up has a progressively higher discount code. It's just my way of saying thank you for your support. But that's enough of my commercial. Let's get on with it. I do talk about sensitive subjects in this video. This is my personal journal. I can talk about anything I want. I can say anything I want. I can be as self-reflective as I want. I can focus on myself all I want. This is my journal. You're just simply welcome to look over my shoulder and leave comments. I do read all comments at the end, but I don't read them until I get to the end and then respond as well. This allows me to keep a flow going. All right, I think I've done enough, and I've already said thank you to my supporters. I appreciate that. Let's go over my notes for the last 24 hours. I have 3 bullet items here. The first is simply says, I'll read the note and then I'll explain it. It says, lost yet on track. And then in parentheses it says, a new way. Something interesting happened yesterday to explain, and I'll need to explain some of the other remaining 2 notes as well by giving you this anecdotal description of what happened in the afternoon yesterday. After a very full day of work yesterday, it was a Saturday, my wife and her sister were very busy on the first floor working on remodeling our bathroom. So they had taped off all the new siding that had been put up by the contractor, and they were putting down kind of like a mud-like substance over the where the old wallpaper was to make it nice and smooth, and they're going to put up, do some new finish on the wall. They were very busy with that. While they were doing that, I was up here working on my store. Added an antique item, added 2 new product listings, and I was also studying about how to do a better job with Fourth Wall and eBay. But yet, even though I was very busy with my mind, I wasn't very busy with my body. I was pretty much stayed here all day out of the very, very amazing heat yesterday. Yesterday was a dangerous day. I protected myself from it. Only ventured outdoors enough to keep the plants watered. So this lost yet on track? Today, in fact, in just a couple of hours, Yumiko and I are going to head over to the junior high school, which is just on the hill here, right above there, to join a community group playing a game called, I can't remember, bocce or something like that. It's a game, kind of like, think about gate ball for seniors, but it's not quite for that old set. It's a community game that our community puts together to kind of foster community connection, and it works. It's really good. It's something Japan does really good, is finding ways to foster community participation. It can seem like a pain in the butt, but it's really a good thing. So we're going to do that. We're going to play this game for 3 hours this morning in the gymnasium at the junior high school, and I'm looking forward to it. Last night we had a practice run where we got together with the community, same people, and we learned how to play the game, and we did a practice run of it. That went for about 2 hours. That was in the late afternoon. That started at I think it started at 7. It went from 7 to 9, so it was 2 hours. It was a lot of fun. It was a fun game. And a lot of the people that showed up were in my immediate neighbors. So I got to know, like, the people that live 2 doors down and the people that live 1 more down from there. I mean, it was great. So the thing was, I gotta give a little side about how Japan does everything. I don't remember who it was that said this, but they observed that the Japanese are just like everybody else, but more so. That's a great way to summarize Japan and the Japanese, well, mainly the Japanese. They do everything. They're human beings just like us, but they do everything at another level. Just look at their toilets. Or better yet, take one for a ride. You'll know what I mean. So we're playing this game, and the game is simple. You have this court. It's about the size of a volleyball court. You have two teams with about 6 balls each. They're like these sandbaggy balls that are full of sand. Think of I can't really think of it, but they don't roll very much. If you toss them up in the air, they come down with a thud, dissipating a lot of kinetic energy and leaving just a little bit of roll. So you have two teams divided up on one side of this volleyball court, size shape, and then you have this white ball. And you do a Janken-pun, and the team that wins gets to throw the ball out into the court. Usually they'll throw it strategically closer to them so they have a better advantage. Then they take turns alternating. One team is the red team and the other team is the blue team. So whoever throws the white ball first gets the first throw, and let's say they're the blue. They then throw a blue ball, and the goal is to get the blue ball to land or stop as close to the white ball as possible. At the end and then you can see what happens. And then the red team goes, and at the end you count up the balls, and whoever has the most number of balls, you count the points. Whoever has the most number of balls near this white ball gets the most points. You do the 3 rounds like this. It's like tennis. You do 3 matches or games to get a match, and then you have a winner, and you alternate sides. It's pretty simple. And there's a guy that stands out there like a referee, and he's got like a card that he turns red and blue, and whichever team is at the disadvantage isn't close, they continue to throw balls until they either get a ball closer to the white ball or knock the offending ball away. Get it? It's pretty simple. The Japanese can't explain it, or maybe they can, but they don't. They choose not to explain it as simply as I did. I hope I did a good job. I'll bet that there's 9 of you watching right now, most of you probably understand the game, right? You'd probably, if you're Westerners like me, you're like, let's roll up our sleeves and try. I got it, right? Not the Japanese. The 3 hours that we were there, 45 minutes were spent having a guy explain what I just explained to you in incredible detail. Now, I've been around the block with Japan. I know that that's how they operate. I've in the past been intimidated by attending events where long-winded instructions are given, of which my Japanese isn't good enough to follow everything, and I worry that I'm not going to be able to follow along. And I usually do struggle, but I get by. Yesterday was my first time to be in that position again since coming back to live in Japan. Now, my Japanese isn't great, but it's not terrible either. I can follow what's going on. True, I do zone out sometimes. I'm like, oh, where are we going to go for dinner after this? At this point, I just kind of zoned out because I'm already on the ragged edge because of the heat impact that it had, and I had a hard day yesterday. So I kind of just checked out mentally, and I just said, I'll just watch what other people are doing, and I'll follow along. Now, what was really interesting in the note that I have here is lost yet on track. That's exactly what played out. I stood there. I gave my best face of attention. I looked serious. My mind was thinking about the Andromeda Galaxy. Went on and on and on. And this is where I began to notice, and this is the second note, 0 stress. I wasn't stressed out in the least about the fact that we were about to transition from 45 minutes of instruction for a game that I didn't know anything about and had never seen before to playing a game that I had no idea about, and I didn't follow any of the instructions at all. I didn't know what I was doing. 15 years ago when I was in Japan, if I was living here, if I had been in that situation, I would have been not the same situation, not following along, but I would have been pretty stressed out. Largely because I was carrying the stress of the day along with me, right? The stress of work and parenthood and finances and all that stuff. And it would have been just like one more thing. And it wouldn't be the stress of the, lost and confused the senior citizen ball game thing. It would have been all that other stress just masking like it was this. So I really took note of that. I was like, man, dude, 35 minutes into this, 10 minutes more to go. I was like, I have no idea what this game is about. And neither did my wife, because she kept turning to me, standing by my side, looking up and saying, Wakanda, Wakanda. She's like, I didn't understand. So I guess even though there was 40 minutes of instruction, it wasn't clear to anybody else either. But here's the point. This is not, for those of you that are new to my videos, this video in particular, this journal video is not for me to tell you about the day, but to tell you about how I responded to challenging situations. This was a very challenging situation, and I responded with zero stress. I did come up with, and when I say hashtag, I'm referring to principles and objectives in my creed. I didn't even need temperance. I didn't even need, because nothing welled up. It's like, oh, okay, I'm like, here I am in this situation again. It's just, okay, like earlier in the day, Yumiko and Yoko were busy doing their thing, and I went off to get us lunch at McDonald's, and I drove to McDonald's, and there was an event at the sports complex. So every family, it was lunchtime, every family that was there at the sports complex was driving through McDonald's to get their lunch, and there was this huge line. And I came in the parking lot, and normally I like to go into McDonald's because then I can point at the menu, and it helps. It's like a visual aid for ordering, right? None of that. They weren't even letting people in the restaurant. It was all drive-through. They had set up a second drive-through line. Who can do that? I mean, I've seen people improvise in the States, but it's always the same drive-through. But they had somehow set up this separate drive-through line. So there was no pointer. There was no menu. There was nothing. I just had to. I was shuffled my car, and I elected to do this. I saw the disaster that was not the disaster. I saw the organized chaos in front of me. I knew that I would be in a challenging thing for my Japanese alone, and I'm gonna do it. So I drove right in, and I wish I'd had the camera running because I had been making clips for my retiring in Japan video, and it wasn't running. And the young man, they have the same pimply-faced 16-year-olds running, standing out there taking order here like they have back home, right? And he came up and he looked at me like, oh man, geez, got to deal with a foreigner. I had very few moments where I executed my Japanese so fluently as yesterday. And my daughter even noticed. She said, Dad, your Japanese is getting really good. She had mentioned that when I'm ordering. I'm getting good at ordering. And it just went bam, bam, bam. And I paid the money. I got the money out. I was ready to go. It went well. And I went through the drive-thru. Zero stress. This is another case. I saw the ching. I could have turned away. I could have driven away and called Yumiko and said, McDonald's is jammed. I'm going to Tenjin and I'm going to get us the usual. I didn't. I faced it down. Zero stress. I mean, not a lick of it. In fact, it was kind of fun. That was interesting. So I didn't need temperance. I didn't need reason. I didn't need a plan. I just executed my life. That, when I'm going to the autopilot, when I'm living according to my values on autopilot, that's something worth noting. So that happened. And then it happened again last night when we, at the end of the instructions, and we set up and we started doing our thing. I didn't just stand there and follow along. I went to the head of the line. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what was being done. I was the lead doing the Janken, and I'm awful at Janken. I would grab the white ball. They're supposed to throw the ball. There's like all these, we had spent another 5 minutes laying out duct tape or like this white tape all over the floor for all these quadrants and quarters and stuff like that. And you're supposed to throw this white ball and start something. I had no idea. I just threw the ball. I thought, well, it'll sort out. And apparently I did a good job, people. I had no idea. By the end of the hour and a half or so that we then did, it was a 2-hour event. We did instructions for 40 minutes, so then an hour and 10 minutes of actual playtime. By the end of the 70 minutes of playtime, I understand the game. I didn't understand the instructions. I didn't hide behind. I stepped forward and did everything. And zero stress. I kept going over it in my head. I go, where's the stress? What's going on here? It was then, and this is where I get to so that's what it means. Lost yet on track. I was lost, but I was on track, and I didn't need the extra. I didn't need to enlist the help of my principals because they were there for me all along. And maybe simply because I'm not carrying a 60-round backpack of stress in my shoulders anymore. The second one was I began to think about, after reflecting on all this, where did all this stress go? Because I'm not feeling it at all anymore. The only thing that stresses me out a little bit is my plan, formulating my plan to make sure that I can continue to service my daughter's college debt until Social Security kicks in next year. That's the only thing that really, because I don't want to pull any money out of savings. That's another reason why I'm working so hard, is that I really want to ramp up my business so that I can make money and not pull any more money out of savings. I want to be done with that. That gives me just a little tiny little smidge of stress. That's hardly perceptible. Just as Monty Python would say, just wafer thin. So I know where the stress went. It went away when I stopped on January 6th, on December 6th, 2024, when I had my last day of work. That's where the stress went. It stayed behind. Good riddance. So there's that. Now, I made a post now. I just uploaded my retiring in Japan, and the post reflected about how this summer is as hot and humid as I ever remember. I don't remember it. I don't think this is necessarily hotter or more humid than I remember, but it's still hot and humid. Yet I'm bearing it pretty well. I mean, other than feeling a little sick and down, deservedly so, for weeding the garden in 100 degrees under the full sun. But it's not so bad. Again, doing well. I think it's because the stress is gone. So the last note here, the third one says, slower and quieter. Attendant to this change, attendant maybe to my recovery from overdoing it, is that something new has emerged. And I think it might unsettle my wife a little bit because she's not used to it. So I need to talk to her about it. I'll do that today, maybe over breakfast. Is that I've changed insofar as when I'm exhausted or, I guess it's exhausted. It's the only case. I just go quiet. I'm not sulking. I'm not sullen. I'm not depressed. I'm just quiet. I'm just not talking to anybody. I'll do all the stuff I need to do. I'll drive everybody around. I'll do all the things I need to do. I'll order at McDonald's. I'm not talking. Which is the reason that's probably unsettling to my wife, is I'm a talkative guy. Clearly. But not when I kind of reach the edge anymore. And it feels right, and it feels good, and it feels like an appropriate response. It feels exactly like, if you're out exercising and you get a little overdo it, and you say, well, I'm going to sit down in the shade for a minute with a bottle of cold water and a towel to mop my head. That feels good. That's exactly what going quiet does. But I need to explain that to my family, because I think it looks like I'm depressed or I'm sullen or I'm upset, and I'm not. Slower, and I'm moving slower too. Okay, I think I've covered all three of the notes from yesterday. Yesterday was a very significant day, very productive day, very revealing of my new nature. New nature seems to be emerging. Let's go over my creed. Again, you can read my creed called The Good Life in my book, Going Alone, for free at goingalone.org. If you want a copy of the book, you can buy it at Amazon, or if you're like in the United States, you just go to the bookstore and ask for it. They'll get it in there, and you can buy it from them direct. If you want, I got contacted this week by someone who is finishing. I hope they don't mind me saying this. I won't say their name. They're finishing flight school, getting their pilot's license, and they're about to become a pilot and head out around the world. And this person wrote to me saying that Going Alone helped them apparently to get through flight school. And they asked if I would sign a copy that they can put in their flight bag and take with them around the world. Isn't that nice? So they're going to actually, I don't keep copies here anymore, and I'm living on a fixed income. So they're going to buy a copy from Amazon and send it to me here, and I'm going to then sign it and But I won't just sign it, I'll illustrate it. I'll get the whole thing. They're going to get a nice copy, and then I'll ship it back to them. And how nice if they'll then, to think that a copy of Going Alone will be flying around the world joining this young pilot as they start their career. It reminds me of the person, I think it was in the Netherlands, who bought a copy of Going Along and then went down to their city library and donated it. And now that a copy of Going Along is sitting in the shelf of the city library and somewhere in the Netherlands. I love stuff like that. It makes it all worthwhile. Not for the acclaim, which is mild, but for the fact that the hard work of living and writing Going Alone has found some resonance in the lives of others. Because that's, in the end, the best thing of all, right? Okay, so my creed consists of 8 objectives as follows, and all I need to do is say them. I don't have to talk about them in detail. I can talk about them if I want to, but it's getting pretty hot back there. Number 1 is to be always ready to die. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time. 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities. 7, to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. And 8, to maintain my balance in both body and mind. And to read now a principle. And yesterday I read principle title. See, I wrote it down yesterday. Temperance. Today, I think after Temperance, what comes next? Life will not go well. Let me make a note. Okay, I remember talking about this one not too long ago because Evelyn and I had a little talk in here, some comments about it. Life will not go well. This is principle number 15 in the book. I'll be damned if I don't nearly always stumble, trip, slip, or otherwise get bounced around, turned backwards, and have the hardest time keeping straight line towards the objects and ends I set myself to reach or achieve. I'm always stumbling along the way, right? It's like life is this imperfectly evaluated landscape of changing textures, seasons, and weather, where winds suddenly gust from one side and slippery ice appears on the ground in a shady hollow, or a lurking beast stalks and jumps from behind, and a friend hails us demanding our time and attention, and our bodies complain and yield to fatigue, disease, and our ever-increasing weakness of capacity and uncertainty regarding want. All these things happen. That we ever get anywhere we've set out for is an amazing feat, demonstrative of strong object principles, seemingly indefatigable will, and a wisdom arrived at by way of experience, reflection, and resolve. Life will not go well, but we certainly can if we try. So although we stumble and fall frequently through the course of our life and the execution of our days, we can maintain our equanimity, if not our balance, so overtly, by virtue of our controlled reactions, by monitoring our emotions, exercising temperance to control what happens inside, to make sure that it doesn't take an adverse effect on the exterior, to regulate our expression of the Feast of Offal, to remember that life will not go well, and that hashtag life will not go well, and will hashtag sometimes yield a horror show, and to maintain our hashtag balance then through the hashtag slow and deliberate utilization of our lives in accordance with our principles. All right, so as for today, I have 2 things on my list. The game, we're going to do the game, so I better wrap this up. I'm going to go, no morning exercise today. We'll go up to the junior high school and do that game in earnest. Hopefully Yumiko will be able to play. She seems like she hurt her foot. And then from there, we have an antique fair that we're going to with Yoko, so that's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully get some real goodies for the store. especially now that I'm really ramping up in earnest as an antique dealer. Okay, enough of that. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee and then we'll read some comments. And I'm going to reiterate the temperature. I checked the temperature and humidity when we first started. It was 24 degrees and 85% humidity when I first started the video. That would put it just on the inside of the green zone, headed to red for temperature, and solidly red for humidity. Okay. Hi, Michael. Hi, Tim. UK weather check at 12:42 p.m., 15.3 C and 65% humidity. So 15.3 is a little bit chilly, according to my scale here, and 65 humidity is heaven zone. Sounds pretty nice. How about that rain, Tim? Digigarb, hi, Ohio gozaimasu from Melbourne, Australia. 6:50 a.m., 8 degrees Celsius. Ooh, nice and cold. Wow. And hello there down in Melbourne. Love Australia. I was just telling you, I had a long talk, actually a pretty long talk with Yumiko yesterday about Australia. I was telling, because just out of the blue, we were out walking the dog, and she was saying, she asked me, she said, isn't it true that just about everything in Australia, all the animals in Australia want to kill you? You know, that kind of that cliche, right? And I told her, I don't know. Actually, I do remember that when I was down in Bairnsdale, down in Victoria, I was visiting an elementary school. And this is a true story. I don't know how to say this because it's funny and horrifying at the same time. And it was my first day there, and I was standing on the curb where the kids were getting off the bus. And one of the teachers said to me, mind the ants. There were a bunch of ants on the ground. And she said, they're dangerous. And I said, oh, really? How dangerous are they? And she said, well, they killed the janitor. Enough said. So then Yumiko and I went on to then talk, and I was telling Yumiko, because I promised her in retirement that, because I've traveled the world. When I used to be in my career, I used to travel the world for work, and I've been to a lot of places. And I told Yumiko, I'm going to take her to all those places and see all of them. And I told her, I've never met or known any place that quite enjoys life, quite like anyone that quite enjoys life like the Australians. I just could not get over. I've been there 3 times, I think it is. And I just could not get over how the Australians, like if life is a meal where you have work and pleasure and, you know, necessities or whatever it is, they always make sure to get a good heaping serving of pleasure. I mean, you know, on the weekend, going out, taking the boat out for in the lake there near Bairnsdale, or, you know, having a barbecue with the family, and lots of laughter. And oh my gosh, you people in Australia are amazing. So I always love seeing correspondence from Australia. And Melbourne, I really like it there too. Melbourne was great. Tim says, definitely felt like that yesterday, Friday. Pretty exhausted overly, so, and any conversation drops off to non-existent. Usually make up for it the next day. Think it's natural to feel that, Tim. Ah, so it's not just me. Tim, you keep reinforcing and helping me to understand that a lot of the experiences that I'm having I'm not alone in. I appreciate that, because this helps me to see that these things might be more general and generic to the experience and fact of aging. But I need to talk to my wife so that she knows clearly that if I'm being quiet, it's not that anything's wrong. It's just that I'm worn out. Tim says, today was supposed to be a rest day. Ah, you didn't rest, did you? Body appreciated that, but from the mind didn't. Ah, you did rest. Didn't, and it kept telling me to get on and do active things. Yeah, me too, Tim. It was hard for me to stay seated. I am not much of a TV watcher, but I'm forcing myself on doing the more simple chores of my work. I'm forcing myself to watch. I'm watching Better Call Saul. I know I'm late to the game. Everybody's seen that series. I'm enjoying that, but it's really hard for me. At the end of every episode, as Netflix spins on to the next one, I'm like, I put the pause button. I'm like, I want to do something. And I click, Kurt, and then I look outside. And I hear the cicadas, and I'm like, Kurt, you can't do anything. time to watch another episode, and I'm glad I did. Love to hear what everybody else is watching. I think I'm almost done with Better Call Saul. Boy, it goes on forever. I'm starting a new series on Netflix called Mo, which I really like. It's about a, um, a an immigrant from the Middle East growing up in the United States, and the experience of that. I'm very interested in these cross-cultural things, and very timely given the recent world thoughts about immigration, etc. Interesting to have that perspective. Tim says hi to Robert. Robert, I think, is saying hi. Oh, there's Robert saying hi to everybody. Hi, Robert. Robert is, of course, Believe in Yourself. Tim says, temp is dropping slowly into the night, 14.9 and 69. Isn't that relief? I kept telling, I told my daughter this just last week when she was visiting. I said, next time you come see me, I think she's going to be here in August. I said, you're going to feel that it's going to be over. The cusp of summer will be past, and we'll feel that longing for the youthful feel of summer. As Tim, I'm sure that you and I both feel that now for the youthful period of our life for a little bit, right? But given that I think that both of us lived our youth well, it's not a longing for regret or of missed opportunity. It's a longing for the pleasures that wouldn't it be great if we could enjoy being 25 years old now with the mind of our age now? Yes, Tim says, yes, very cloudy. Yes, cloudy, no rain today, but could do with some rain about a week ago, Tim. So, yeah, my buckets, I keep rain buckets up here, these drains from the roof, fill the rain buckets to water my plants. And for the first time ever since moving here, I actually had to go down and fill a bucket from down below and bring water up to fill the bucket so I could water my plants. Robert says, currently mostly cloudy, 29C, 52 degrees. So it's a little hot for you, and pretty mellow on the humidity side, Robert. In Canada, Napanini to be exact. All right, let me sign off with I always like to start with from my end, I'm gonna start with the weather and end with the weather. How simple that is, huh? Now it is 26 degrees, and 81 degrees and 81%. So I've been at this for 37 minutes. It was 24 degrees 37 minutes ago. It's now 26 degrees. So the temperature has risen 2 degrees, and it's gone from 85% humidity to 81% humidity. The usual course of temperature rising, humidity dropping. Yesterday, the humidity stayed very low, and that's part of the reason why I think I'm feeling better. But better is a relative thing, right, Tim? Okay, everybody, I'm going to sign off for now. That's pretty warm too early in the day. Phew, yeah, it really is. It's going to be a hot one. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Be safe, but not too safe.